Good day, YouTubers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. The ship is in dry dock. So we went with the ideas we had in our last video, which is a dry dock format with braces. And the plan here is I got the beginnings of the braces that will duplicate this on the other side, and then we'll have to fabricate this and this over here out of the rest of the scrap we got. But these pieces will take care of the middle part after we cut the angles on them to match the hull of the ship in this leaning position. And it'll go all the way around. And then underneath, my idea for the very keel area, of course this existing ship holding base is going to come out, and for now it's just holding the ship at the height we want to set blocks underneath the keel. And the blocks underneath the keel, I'm thinking of using hello Mufasa, thinking of using something like this, and I got a bunch of these pieces here left over also. This is from a mock-up I did on a gazebo that I was thinking about building on the back of the house. That's a styrene model of the house and the two sheds. And of course we've closed in this corner here with a porch, and that's what those pieces are, representing the roof. But I was going to build a gazebo going out into the backyard, and I had mocked up some lumber here from the hobby store to simulate that gazebo. But the price for the cypress wood and the massive brackets and so on is so outrageous now. So this was already falling apart because it was just hot glued together for a temporary feeling of what it would look like. So I got all this lumber to work with for the dry dock effect. And these larger beams that are in here, and the combination of this one, which I can cut up to make a crisscross pattern of blocks to set underneath in like 6 places. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because the keel is pretty straight all the way across. So we'll need to make 6 of those groups. A bunch of cuts out of this and some cuts out of the other bigger stuff for the keel area. And then these smaller ones for the side. This is all glued up as one piece. I could, yeah. See, I can move it. So it's all glued up as one piece that will hold the ship in a vertical position. And then I added this little brace right here, and that'll be the top of the ramp. So the ramp will go down and stop down in here somewhere where that mark is at. And I've got the beginning of the ramp glued up. This is some parchment paper so the glue doesn't stick to the table. And then we use this to set our angle for all the cuts and all the glue up, so we could keep the angle the same. And I got this angle by putting that ramp in place and then finding the vertical point and then setting it, and then use that set position to cut and glue all these pieces to the right position. And of course we had to measure. This was 330 millimeters overall, and 350 millimeters. So we just divided out of 22 pieces that I had already cut. I have one left over. See, there's an angle on one end, on both ends, matching angle that matches this angle here. And then use the calculator, that just a little past 30 degrees, 31 degrees maybe. So use the calculator to divide 350 millimeters out of 22 cuts, and that came out to 13.8 millimeters. So I just laid the ruler on there while this was laying flat and marked the first 13.8 millimeters, and then I just added 13.8, 13.8, just kept adding 13.8 to the number until I got all the way to the 350, and made a little mark each time I did that adding. So that told me the spacing for all these railings. The bars that hold the railings up, that's not a railing, that's called something else, those bars, stanchion bars or something. So once that dries, I cut a bunch of these little sopula planks that are about a half a millimeter or a millimeter thick. Yeah, that's about a millimeter thick. I cut a bunch of those, and I'm going to use those as like an anti-slip thing on here. So as you're walking up, you're not going to slide back down, or if you're rolling a wheelbarrow up or something like that, you got something to grip on, but it's not a step, because this is a ramp format, and in a ramp format you don't want steps because it's too hard to get materials up and down with steps in the way. It's easier not to have steps, but these will be little gripping foot grips that will get mounted all the way down to give it that effect of a way to get up there. And the railing will be on the outside, and this is set where it can glue right to the edge of the ship here and to the framing down here where it dead ends at, and it'll be part of this brace system, and it goes right up to where this little opening is in the railing of the ship. And that's where the stair ramp will dead end at. So I think that'll look cool, and that'll give us some more accent to the open hull effect, and then the dry dock effect. So we just got to duplicate this on the other side and make some blocks in a crisscross format to hold up the keel in 6 places, glue them in place, and they'll all be part of the ship. So that's the dry dock idea coming to life with a ramp ladder. I think it'll be pretty cool. Obviously, we're not opening the box this week. If I can get that other done, today is Wednesday. Thursday I'm out of town. Friday. I might be able to get that done Friday on the other side. Glue this in place and put the blocks on and then on the keel. I think that will be the finishing aspect of the ship that we want to complete before we open the box and start on this one. Soil Royale. So give me some comments of what you think about the dry dock effect. Being as a dry dock effect, I'm going to have to come up with somewhere to put this instead of on the base. That's an oddball problem. So any ideas there, please comment. But that is the progress so far and how we got to where we are right now with this dry dock bracing to simulate being on the construction side or the dry dock. I think it looks cool, so I'm going to go with it. It eliminates my base issue, and it adds more coolness to the cutaway view and the look of the ship, being as it's in dry dock. What do you think? I love it. Sometimes he'll snore like a horse. So we got the stairway done. I'm trying to figure out a good way to do these planks. Now it's probably too much glue. And I'm thinking every other one it's going to be a little tough making them square though. Perpendicular to the ramp. So something like that. As we go up the hill, up the ramp. Each one is going to have to be looked at from two different angles. I think that'll set it off pretty good for the sake of the anti-slip as the guys walk up there. That should work. And we got the railing completed at the top where the gate's at. And the whole thing is glued on in three different spots, up under here on the brace, the landing, and then down here where it touches the framing. Oh, and there's another spot there. I put some pins in the frame of the ship with a little bend on them to hold the ramp at the right position until it dried. I think it came out pretty good, so glue all these on, and then we'll turn this baby around and do the braces on the other side, and we'll be done. Let's call it done. So, what do you think? Took a year and a month. That's almost the middle of February, month and a half. We started on this right at Christmas time last year. Those will go on easy. I like it. The dry dock effect. The HMS Bounty. Okay, these blocks getting notched out for the keel. See how that's going to fit. Got a few of them up under already. This is just to see how snug it is, if it's wide enough. And now, supposedly the depth of this cut is going to be good for here. Because I just did one there and it was too deep, but once I moved it here from there, it was just right. So let's put a dab of glue on this. And we got the, the braces done on the other side. But before I can do the braces on this side, I got to get these perfect. So it's just enough clearance for a good blob of glue on there. That way when you pick the ship up, the bracing and the ladder and these blocks and everything will come with the ship as one piece. I got 5 of these sets of blocks. Got one more to do down here. So what I do to get a measurement, I know this board is about 6.5, 7 millimeters, and I just put it up there and get a rough idea of how much I'm going to notch out. It looks like about at least 3 millimeters. Almost half of the board. Yes, that's like 6.5, 6 if you put it tight. And we're saying it's almost half of the board. So let's go 2.5 millimeters with our depth. So we'll repeat that same process. We'll use this to lay it out. We'll notch it and then glue that baby in the front, and we'll be done with the blocks and start working on the bracing on this port side. So there's the bracing on the port side. Just glued the last board on. Try to get a match for the distance from the keel and the angles and where they land at, so both sides are pretty much identical. And one thing I might do is cut these off where that tail's sticking out, but otherwise I think this tears it. We're done. The wood model ship. We will have to figure out what we're going to do with that battery box, because the display is going to be on the starboard side. Maybe we can sneak that battery box over here somewhere. I don't know. I might worry about that when I go to build the case and just put the battery box outside of the case or something, because I can extend them wires. So the main thing though is we are done with the HMS Bounty. The dry dock effect took care of the base. Once this glue dries on all the bracing, we can pick the ship up out of the original bracket that was holding it while we were building it, and other assembly processes we were using. A big block of styrofoam too. Yeah, the styrofoam's down there. We had that whittled out for the hull of the ship, and that helped us do a lot of the construction. It got it up high and stuff like that, and it was more stable than these little bases they give you with the kit. So we got the blocking under the keel, bracing on both sides. HMS Bounty is done. Time for an open box and CD review on the plans for the Surreal Royale next week. I printed this out because I was looking at the plans a little bit, and this is like a code that they're using in the pictures on the CD to tell you what to do or what not to do. So we'll look at that next week. HMS Bounty's done. Woohoo!